Hey, good morning. Today is May 14th, and this is the Kubeflow community call for Tuesday. And we want to remind everybody that this call is governed by the CNCF Code of Conduct, and it is being recorded. We are going to have an agenda today that goes over first the release update. And the release that we're working on is 1.9. Stefano, I think you're going to provide us some updates on 1.9, and then others will chime in, correct?
Sure. You want me to get started?
Yes, please.
Okay.
The floor is yours.
So, um, last week we cut RC0 in an effort to expedite distribution testing. We did that despite not having a release from the notebooks working group yet, which is something we're working on. And we don't have a new image for the Kaiser web app. That's a minor thing. So these are the main two things pending, besides some updates to the manifest and upgrades to the third-party components. So we're working on that, and we're planning an RC1 in a couple of weeks, as soon as Ricardo, the release manager, comes back from vacation. So overall, and we're working on update the docs, and I think work is progressing really well on documentation. If distribution owners are here, please acknowledge that you know about RC0 and that your distribution is undergoing testing in the distribution tracking issue. So I think the major concern here is with notebooks and Matthew, if there's anything we as a release team or anyone else in the community can do to help you close issues in the milestone. By the way, thank you for creating that milestone. It's very, very helpful to keep track of pending items, PRs, and issues. So again, if there's something we or anyone else can do to help you move forward with that, please say so. Let's coordinate separately. Is that seems like there's quite a lot of work there that we need to go through in the next week or 10 days.
Yes. We can go through some of it, but let's not go too deep into it. So there is quite a few issues. Some of them have PRs, some of them don't. Some of them have PRs that need to be fixed or updated. Yeah, the main things that we were that I put in, so I removed anything that wasn't like a breaking bug, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think the main question here is there anyone besides you who's helping you closing those PRs and issues?
People have raised the PRs, right? But
okay.
But currently, closing them is just making sure that they're reviewed and safe to be merged, right? Which pretty much that inherently requires me or Kimonos to do that, or both of us maybe. But the actual PRs do need to be ready to do that, obviously, as well. We can obviously commit to people's PRs as well if they don't respond. But we still have to know what the problem is and how to fix it, But yeah, it's getting better with more people participating, but it's still we still definitely have need for more people. But there's not a whole lot of them. It's mostly just around time, right? So I think a lot of people, if I'm not going to be the one just contributing all of it, just by updating people's PRs because they take time to respond, then I don't know how we'll manage to get it to the release, but on time.
Right. So look, I don't want to be the bad cop here, but at some point we'll have to move forward, right? So it will be your call in saying, hey, let's cut the release now with or without these PRs. We cannot drag this along until the end of summer. So, let's take a week, see where, at what point you can get that milestone. And then let's just take a call whether you can cut a release anyway, if you manage to close all of the PRs, or if not. I would say let's get at least some of these fixes in. Something is better than nothing. I think in terms of
obviously,
cutting
as
the
long as we
release,
don't
you should
introduce
be on
new
block,
bugs.
right? Yeah, exactly.
That's why I'm trying to be careful about what we include. But yeah, there is some big issues that were there. I don't know if there's other things that I've missed. These are only just things that happen to be tracked, you know. I tried to go, I didn't go through all the issues. I only went through all the PRs. So there might be issues that haven't, you know.
Okay, let's see how this goes. And please, if you can join the release meeting next week, we'll touch point and see where we're at and make a call.
Yeah. If anyone wants to contribute to, if they're the author of a PR especially, but there's only one or two things that don't have a PR right now. One of which there's only two, no, there's only one PR. There's only two things that say need follow-up PRs on this list. Maybe three. So yeah, and they're very simple things, but it's just I need to figure out what's actually the problem and make sure that they don't come back. But yeah. Cool. Okay, anyway, let's move on. We'll work on it.
Yep. All right, I think that's about it. Josh, back to you.
Okay, good. All right, let's move on to, what is this, Google Summer of Code?
Yeah, I think it's important that we just go over that and make sure that we're progressing and everything on that.
Okay, whose topic is this?
I put it there, but technically it's I'm not the owner of the program, but it's I think it's Ricardo, is it? No.
I think it's Ramesh.
Oh yeah, it is. You're right. Is he away right now? Is he away?
I think he had a conflict today, cannot join the meeting. But
in any case, yeah, we should confirm that there. So have we managed to? So we obviously were previously making sure that every mentor had reached out to their mentees and was ready to start in a week or so. You know, because it's about a week. The 26th, I believe, is the day we're meant to start. So I guess, is there anyone in the call who wants to say that they haven't not reach out to their mentee or anything problems? Nothing publicly saying names, but just like, is everything going okay? Like we've got the notebooks, we've reached out to our people, but has anyone had any problems?
How many mentees do we have?
I believe it's 9.
Okay.
Is it either 9 or 8? One of those two. Again, that remains to be seen whether they'll stay throughout the program. You know, we'll have to, that's part of the initial period. So this initial period is meant to be just onboarding people, helping people prepare to contribute, trying to figure out exactly what they'll be doing. And then the goal is to start actually having the person contribute on the 26th or from the 26th, not on necessarily. And then obviously the summer period will be the period over which they contribute. And then there's other dates as well. You can see the timeline thing. You don't have to click on it. But so anyway, so the goal, I guess, is that if you are a mentor, please make sure you've reached out. And if you're a primary mentor, especially, which there may not be for each project yet, please reach out to your mentee. Make sure that they're ready to start coding on the 26th something so that they can start actually doing work. That's the goal.
So I can share quickly our experience from training side. So yeah, we have like 7 mentors and 5 students that we're going to work on this summer. First of all, thanks again for sending your proposals. We kind of like created the private Slack channel with all of them to communicate, and like our next step would be to ask them to submit the proposal as the enhancement proposal similar to Kubernetes Kept in the training operator or Katib repo. And then we will review the proposal, and then we will make a next steps with them. Just as a suggestion how you can move forward with all this. And we will schedule maybe as much as suggested regular calls with students to provide an updates. Yeah, and also I know that Ramesh will require the primary mentor for every student from us, so we will do that as well.
Yeah, I was about to say, have you figured out that yet? That would be good. Yeah.
Yep.
There's also, to be clear, if every working group doesn't have to do it the same way, it's like it's up to you guys. It's just making sure that there is someone and making sure that the project does something happens, like so that you don't have to make them make a improvement proposal if you don't want to, for example. You could assign them work directly.
Yeah, just a suggestion, sure.
I think for project 2 and 3, it's also going well. They are already, I have one PR merged and they are moving on, adding contributions and so.
So hopefully we've got like because there'll have to be something that we can evaluate them on, right? At some point. Is that kind of, have you got like an overall task or something assigned? Just, I'm not saying you have to yet, I'm just saying.
I have weekly meetings and then, yes, I'm tracking the progress every week. What do we have to do for next week? What did we do last week? And then in the end, I think there's a good history of what has been achieved.
Cool. And on the notebook side, we've got people who are contributing to Notebooks 2.0. Obviously, we're still starting the project out, so we're just scaffolding it right now, and they will be contributing to various components of Notebooks 2.0, including other people as well. So yeah, if you're interested in working on Notebooks 2.0 as well, it doesn't mean you can't. Just as long as you have some relevant skills in Go or equivalent technologies, Go, JavaScript stuff, the front end and stuff, please reach out on the 2.0 issue if you want to contribute as well. Side note, even if you didn't get selected or if you were someone else. Anyway. I think we can probably move on, Josh. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's great next steps or great progress. Look forward to meeting those folks and hearing what they're doing. Kubeflow user survey. I don't know, Stefano, can you wing it? Give us an update of where we're at with this, or is there?
Yeah. Let me quickly get the link.
Oh, I just put it in there.
Oh, okay, great. So that in that comment, there's multiple comments actually. I laid out a summary of the results. I think pretty much in terms of stats, it's very similar to previous years. And probably the most interesting part comes from the more unstructured feedback in the free-form responses. Comparatively to last year, there weren't too many respondents. We had something like 22 or something like that respondents, but that's not the point, since we are targeting at running interviews with these folks, since most of them opted in to being interviewed. Of course, we're not sharing personal information here in the issue, obviously. But so if you look at the bottom of this issue, I just started a new one to follow up on the interview approach and the interview template that we'll be using, and making sure we run those interviews in compliance with GDPR and any other best practice in terms of how we share the information we gather during that process. So I know it's taking a little bit more time than expected in setting all of these up, but it's the first time we do it. And I expect that once we get started, we have the template in place, we have the process in place, we'll be able to run interviews much faster, get the results, and then get this back to working groups. So this was the initial one, the initial interview, which had a very broad scope, but I'd like to start engaging with one of the working groups and design a much more specific survey, figure out how we want to leverage these interviews for to gather much more actionable feedback. With more technical insight and usability insight that a working group can use to shape the upcoming roadmap. So that's TBD. that's something I'd like to start working on. And my goal is to complete the interview template and process by the end of the month, and then run at least a couple of interviews in June to kind of experiment and test that approach and workflow. And look, if there's anyone else who's willing to help here, I'd love it. So we can start parallelizing and, you know, having someone else who can keep me honest during the process would be great. So if anyone's interested, reach out, comment here.
I think we have a
take a
hand
look
up.
at the new issue. Yeah.
Mateo?
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to get on mute. Thank you, Stefano. Actually, I have a question. It is a question specific to the model registry working group, but I think that equivalent it can be an interest of other working groups. Yesterday in the bi-weekly call, Josh made a fair point about trying, maybe is like if we could, in the meeting we were discussing, like if in the previous survey or in the current survey somebody has expressed interest to participate in kind of like a early access, getting involved as new components which are in alpha ways are getting included and being worked on. So I was wondering what would be the process for, say, in the case the model registry working group to ask, okay, were there anybody from the previous survey that expressed, hey, a model registry could be really a great capability to have in Kubeflow, or the current one, if there is a way to collect interested users that would like to experiment with. Is there a way to engage with this?
It's a fair point. I'm not sure I've got the, so it's been over a year since we collected surveys. Since the last survey, where we had more than 100 respondents, and we had clear questions around, you know, what components you might want to see in the ecosystem. I think that that survey was one of the biggest driving factor in saying, okay, people want a model registry. Now, that survey, I don't think it had any PII with the responses. I'm not sure we had the actual emails people, because we, you know, the approach was more of an anonymized results gathering. So we cannot follow up with those individual folks. And in any case, it's been so long that if we had those emails and names, we should have stripped them and deleted them by now. So I don't think there's a way for us to reach out to those folks. But what we can do, so point is, what's your expectation or goal in reaching out to those folks? What do you want to engage them with? Do you want to engage with them directly for some specific purpose, or it's just more about, you know, letting them know that model registry is an alpha stage and it's bundled with the next release? Is it something else?
Yeah, more than that, it's like typically when I participate in anonymous survey, they always have one last option that says, hey, it's like, do you mind if you, do you want to be sort of like a further engaged by providing a contact? So maybe for the future,
that's
what
no,
you're
exactly.
saying,
That's what we did in this survey, but we didn't have that option last year. Right.
Okay, then thank you. Yeah, thank you for the feedback. In general, I would say it's like maybe going forward, I think that as well for like in that section, you can even say, oh, here are the things that like, you know, the newsletter, which kind of like category do you are really interested to be followed up on. So maybe something to consider for the next time. But
yes, that I think that ties into the content and marketing plan in terms of how we deal with potential newsletters, because we don't have any at the moment. Amber is thinking about it. She's not here because she's I don't think she could join today, but it ties into that, and we'll have to think how to handle it. But yes, point taken, and we're already doing it, and we'll have to explore options how to better handle those contacts that we gather through user surveys. For currently, it's mostly for these interviews, but I agree there's various ways we can make good use of these interested folks.
Cool. So have we got a plan to do another survey this year, or?
Yeah, the idea is to design smaller and targeted surveys, one for each component. We'll have to decide from what component to start, but the idea is, you know, the original idea was to have a small survey per component per month, but I think it's it's too aggressive as a roadmap. We could just by myself, I can't keep up with that goal. So unless someone else joins this effort, we'll probably have to relax the roadmap and have a survey every 2 months or something like that. Yeah, we'll have to see how to handle that.
Just a couple of things. Thank you for this, Stefano. I think this is amazing. I think first of all, we probably need to finalize the blog post once you finish the interviews, at least like what we find out about the survey. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I don't think a blog post about this survey makes sense at this point.
Okay.
I don't look. There's no, let's say, there's no, fundamentally new insight we got from these responses. And partly it's due to how this survey was designed. It wasn't designed to gather that kind of feedback. Again, it was mostly a contact gathering kind of survey. So based on how we run these interviews, based on the process we adopt there and the feedback we get, I think then it'll make sense to maybe write a blog post.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's up to you definitely to decide, but I just want to make this work visible. Like maybe you can combine this together with the interviews if users will agree to make them public, their opinions and feedback on the ecosystem. But I think I was checking that this survey actually was used for a couple of different open source projects as the example how we track our user and customers engagement. So I think it is important to make it visible for the broader audience.
I agree.
Yeah, and just on a second point in terms of the bandwidth, I think I said it to Amber, but maybe outreach, maybe we should ask for the volunteers to help you with some work that you can delegate. And that is why I asked kind of Amber to start this outreach working group charter so we can hire people for you to help with this work. If you think that makes sense.
If it makes sense to fold this initiative under outreach, yes. I'm not sure it necessarily makes sense to fold it under outreach, but yeah, let's talk with Amber and see what makes the most sense here.
Okay.
So this is great work. Thank you, Stefano. This is significantly different than the previous surveys. We had fewer users. There was more content, more responses from EMEA and less from North America. We've been fairly North American dominated. A lot more people using distribution. Fewer people saying that they're rolling their own compared to fewer other years. We had different sets of users. I don't think I saw ML engineer in the list of.
You're right. Part of the reason is how we disseminated this survey, which was at KubeCon. So most of the users were from Europe and platform engineers, which is interesting because currently I think the biggest issues we have our pain points for platform engineers, starting from installation, security, more of the platform stuff. So getting real insight into what these folks need and how the community can help them will be pivotal for the upcoming Kubeflow releases. So I think it's good that we have these people willing to be interviewed and help us understand what they need and how we can help them.
Yeah, without a doubt, I would say, you also look at the distribution mix of the size of the folks that are responding, and before we'd have a pretty good set of smaller, users. In this one, I didn't see a whole lot of smaller users. So whatever, it's a smaller data set, but I think it's valuable, and I'm glad that we have an EMEA enterprise focused data set now to work from and follow up to do. We've been missing that, and I think this is a critical part for our growth in that area.
Yeah.
So thank you for that. Anything else on the survey? Any other comments? Thanks for going through it too.
No, that's about it.
Okay. Slack migration. Who is this? Yuan?
Yeah, I'm here. So the migration, like the spreadsheet is there, and I also sent it out to the mailing list. Thank you for everyone who provided feedback. And I don't think there's any like major pushbacks based on the comments, and most of the in most of the comments we reached the agreement. So I'm hoping to wait for a week or so and then run this with the steering committee again by the end of this week and to finalize the migration schedule.
Okay, good. Thanks for putting this together. I know, that takes a little bit of philosophy about what do you migrate and when and how, and I appreciate the fact that you took the ball, ran with this, and got the community's feedback. So you're about what? You're thinking through May here, you'll get consensus, and then we'll start to do more migration into May, beginning of June. Is that kind of the gut feel, or what do you think?
We have to discuss the timeline. I haven't really thought about it yet.
Okay.
It's a tight schedule. We may want to do this slowly and just to see how
I think
this goes.
we should definitely do it one kind of category at a time and make sure we don't overlap with other releases at the same time, so that we can market it with a blog post and stuff.
All right, we'll work on the timing of it, but this is a good organizational step and a difficult one to get done. So thank you for doing that, Yuan. How about anything else on the Slack migration? Any other help you need, or are you good?
I think in order to really do the migration, I think we at least the KSC members need to be the admin of the current Slack workspace. I don't know who currently holds access. Maybe the outreach working group?
I believe it's actually David Aronchik. But anyway.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is he the only one though?
So he's the only super owner, if you know what I mean. But because only one person can be. But it depends on what you need. Like if you just need, I mean, there's already so many people with admin, it's kind of a problem. But like what exactly would you need? Because you don't, I mean, we can give a random person access, but it's not necessary in most cases.
I think we all need the ability to add channel or add here, just to notify everybody in the channel that we are migrating.
As long as we message it carefully, that's my main concern. Just making sure that the more people who can do that, the more people who can annoy people enough to make them leave. You know what I mean? Like that's my only concern about it. Like I'm more than happy to let people do it. It's just we should be, as with any branding, marketing thing, we should be careful. before we tag the entire server. You know, we should have a clear message if we're going to say this is going to happen, you know.
Yeah, so what was the practice that was previously done?
Well, previously we
saw
just didn't,
you
we just
also
didn't
sent
tag.
a lot of messages in the announcements channel. Was that
So that was just whenever the community agreed to do it, then we just wrote a message and I tagged everyone and did it. Like, so it's really only for incredibly non-controversial things like GSOC, you know, like that was the only times we did it.
Okay.
But we can, what I'm
Sure.
saying is I'm not against more people doing it, but what I'm saying is that like, I'm aware that as users, they might get, we want to have a very clear message. That's why I'm not pushing back against doing it. We should, but I'm just saying we should have a very clear message. That, you know, these channels are going to be removed. We're going to be on this date, moving all of the existing, you know what I mean? These kind of exact statements so that people know.
Yep. Thanks. That's a good suggestion. Thank you.
But we can make someone have access. That's fine. It's just, I just want to, for the same reasons that any marketing, it's just want to make sure it's not going to confuse or make the problem worse. Anyway, yeah, moving on.
No, I think like from my perspective, we only need to spam channels that these channels will be removed soon in like X weeks, maybe like 1 month. And then we will close all the channels and leave only announcement and that's it.
I mean, I don't know if that's quite the agreed migration plan yet. I think that should be discussed, but
okay,
like clearly there's some channels that we can move immediately, but other ones don't have a clear pathway to migrate to the new server anyway. So
I think we already agree on the channel that we're going to migrate initially. I mean, if community have any concerns or objections, strong objections, let us know. But the list of the channels already in this spreadsheet that Yuan prepared, and we're going to close all other channels on the Kubeflow Slack eventually.
Well, we should definitely keep general and announcements just because people will keep spamming in there no matter what. So that otherwise we don't have a place to talk to them, right? Like, so if someone comes into the Slack and says, "Where am I?" Where should I have a question about notebooks? I have a question about pipelines. If we need someone there to be able to say, you should go to this server instead, you know?
Can't you use the same bot that you used for the GSOC stuff as soon as you mentioned GSOC?
I could, I guess, but that could get a bit spammy, but yeah, I guess we could.
Yeah, we are not too concerned about that yet. So that's one of the last steps after we migrated all the channels. Yeah, we'll definitely keep the channel. I don't think we can delete every channel, so we'll definitely keep one of them.
I assume that the first step will be to migrate the component channels.
We'll finalize the schedule and get back to the community.
Because especially because some of the component channels are actually quite active. That's why we need to be very careful about migrating them in an intentional way. But yeah.
We can't hear you.
Can we move on to Spark Operator? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think maybe I can provide a quick update. So yeah, I'm just happy to announce on this community call that after almost 8 months of work, we finally migrated Spark Operator and we established the community around Spark Operator on the Kubeflow ecosystem. It was great. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone being involved, like to Vara, Chauran, Marcin, Aldo, all folks from Batch Working Group, from AWS, from Apple, who actually helped us to make this possible. There was a significant amount of work that was done behind the scenes. Maybe Kubeflow community is not aware of everything, but it was like a significant effort to make it possible while communicating with multiple owners of these components, of this component. And we are happy to host our first community call on May 17th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So everyone is welcome. I think Vara just going to host this community call. I also will try to attend, but mostly we will discuss the next step, just maybe estimate roadmap, and especially like we want to grow the community around Spark Operator, and we want to like onboard new reviewers, approvers, and the people who can help review the PRs and help the approvers make the releases there. So we're looking to host this call this week, And in the future, we have some plans to, improving the release process, think about the Spark support, adding the ARM and other items that people are asking for years in this operator. So any questions? We have a blog post, so please check this out. We link the blog post in this community note. So any questions, comments you want to add for the Spark operator?
So that's Friday at 10 a.m. Pacific?
Yep, that's right.
So does Vara have access to the Zoom, or are you going to host it this time?
Yeah, I will try to host it first time, so I just have access. Should be fine.
Great. Well, I'll be very interested to see the momentum, how many folks show up and join in. How, just as a reference, are we also tracking what's happening with the Apache project and their operator? How do we know where that is? Is that still on track, or did they fall off track? What happened there? Anything? Do you know?
Yeah, I think we're on track. So I think they're kind of preparing the first alpha release. I'm not aware if they have the official 1.0 release. But given like the amount of customers who are using the existing Spark operator, it might take up to 2 to 3 years for people to migrate, or for people to decide what they want to use for the long term. Because as I said before, this is one of the most popular Spark operator in the industry today, which people are using from the open source. But yeah, we're trying to track what's happening on the Apache side as well.
So we posted the blog post on the Spark operator, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Do we have any stats on that? How many people viewed it or anything like that?
No, I'm not sure. I don't think we have stats, right? We don't have Google Analytics.
That's a really good point, Josh.
Yeah.
We have it on the main website, but not on the blog, maybe. That's an interesting question. If we did, we need to migrate it to the CNCF one anyway, because Google never gave us access to the Google one.
Yeah, I think it's a good point. So I think maybe we can, I don't know, start an issue in the community GitHub to see if we can enable some Google Analytics. Or I guess this blog post is owned by Kubeflow.org, right? Yeah, that's correct.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, for these things that we're starting up and putting major effort in, I'd like to see if we're getting momentum from, and then if we start to promote them, whether we're drawing people in. So, good job. Thank you. Great update. Anything else that you need for the Spark operator, or are we on track? Everything seems to be good, right?
Should be fine. Do we have anyone here on the call? Like, I don't think Warren is on the call. Charan.
So very quick for the Kubeflow blog GitHub repo, I think there is a configuration for Google Analytics, and the ID is already specified there. So we may want to check who the original owner.
Oh, so that one won't work. I just checked it. That one's a universal analytics. Yeah, so that won't work anymore. Like that one was been deprecated by Google this year, I think. So we'd need to be moving it to the CNCF one anyway.
Okay, cool. Just double checking. I also linked in the chat.
Oh yeah, I did that too. Yeah. We should find the person who gave us the one for the website and ask them to make one for the blog.
Okay.
Because the CNCF people made us one for the website, but we need to ask them for one for the blog. So it'll be in a different domain. So I'll figure that out and we can figure out who did that.
All right, model registry. Is this Matteo? Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So I just wanted to follow up. We had our weekly meeting yesterday, so we are going to follow through on the newest from on the web documentation update. Thank you, Andre. Actually, there is one comment that I'm not sure about, but I will follow up offline on that one. I would like to eventually try to have that one sort of like into a stage where I can potentially have it merged, and then all the other comments that are related maybe to a specific diagrams or a specific chapters to be done as separate PRs, because that one so far has been open for quite a while now, and I don't see any major blocker, at least from my side. So that I can kind of like parallelize the work. On other hand, we are progressing on everything, on every feedback that we received from a release point of view, so that are being related to the manifest integration. So that's progressing as well. And as mentioned and suggested yesterday in the call by Josh, but also with the group, we're considering to expand on the use cases documentation, so to have the broader net for gathering interest and feedback from the community and the users. I also just want to quickly report that we have someone from the community that expressed interest in contributing beyond the GSOC, because as you know, the project was not part of the pool of projects related for GSOC. So that's very great to hear this community engagement. And we are hoping to follow through with the sort of like the non-GSOC, but we are still the same people looking forward to mentor and help out the community users there. And that's really all from my side. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all know that getting users takes a while, and there are some power user type of applications that could be available for folks that want to use the model registry. One of them was serving model, so it might be an integration with Kserve where you don't need the UI, which will come later. But there may be integrations with other applications, you know, CatTib or other, that could use the model registry. It would be interesting if we could find those use cases, promote them, and find users to perhaps see if they fit in and solve issues or make workflows faster. But Matteo, beyond the Kserve model registry integration, and you could talk to that. Are there any other use cases that, you know, early model registry might be able to use without the UI?
So what we were thinking on is to expand on user contributor example for the custom storage initializer. I know that's still Kserve, but that will also highlight some other integration that you can, as a user or administration, you can make available when you use model registry. Also, I've noticed that in some of the, I think CatTib, but as well other, I've received some ping from Andre. So I was planning to follow up if there is any tutorial that we can try to integrate in the use cases, or kind of like a guide, blueprint, I don't know, an example, a demo. I'm very happy to sort of like step in. I'm not familiar with the other project myself, but if, let's say, if we can have a shake of hand between any model registry representative or me and the one from the other components, that would be awesome, you know, to build on that. So to join on the SME's expertise, because I can provide SME expertise or somebody from the working group and then from the others.
And also, I mean, sorry, I probably could find this out, but it's a question that I'm sure people will ask. What is the status on the MLflow API compatibility?
So that is what we were trying to have Google Summer of Project focused on. And as you know, there is no accepted Google Summer of Code project for that one. So fortunately, the same one of the the candidate that submitted a proposal shown up and expressed interest to contribute beyond the Google Summer of Code. So I'm hoping to see how this evolves over the next weeks, and so to, you know, have some work done in that area, because this is something that we are interested to have, of course. So it's part of there. We were trying to use the Google Summer of Code as the medium to get it progressing. We will see now how it will go from a community engagement point of view.
Because it seems pretty critical to me that we can use the same API structure so that, do you see it as reasonable that could happen? just so that like obviously we should have our own API structure as well, but like a backwards compatible one so that because most people are already using MLflow, so it would be great for them to be able to drop in replace, right?
I'm not sure that I see it exactly like that, but what I see, the very minimum, and I think that we can agree on, is that we want to have a very smooth and leeway for people that are using MLflow to basically migrate data somehow from one type of registry to the other. So this is definitely what we're trying to also make it easier with some import from other hubs, and definitely MLflow will be the biggest one.
So like the reason why I'm saying this is mostly like I don't think we want to build integrations with every AI tool like TensorFlow, PyTorch, and all these others, and MLflow has already done that. So I'm wondering if, you know, to automatically extract metrics out, for example, during training. And I think that it makes sense for that to be a community. I mean, I know it's controlled by Databricks, but like a somewhat community effort so that we don't all have to rehook into TensorFlow, for example, you know?
Yeah, let's say I totally see, and basically the way that I see is that if people have sort of like a say that I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of the user. Let's say that I'm somebody that has been using MLflow and now I see the registry in Kubeflow community, and I'm already using Kubeflow community. And then let's say if I give to them away, oh, you know, if you just use this library instead of MLflow one, then you have just your data going through Kubeflow model registry. I think that will be the golden path, like very easy without friction going through. As I was saying, our hope was to go through the whole summer of code for that. I think it made a lot of sense. Now we're trying to pivot on how to make it viable by going through this community engagement and schedule any development as needed.
But what I mean is more like the experiment tracking. I mean, the actual model stuff, yes, but like, do we have experiment tracking in our model registry? You know, like where you, as you train, you serve, you track metrics, you track artifacts. Like these kind of things are really well, I mean, they're better than nothing in MLflow.
Yeah,
Just wondering if, are we going to
yet,
replicate them or not?
Yeah, not yet. We have to model those in our model registry API.
Because that's like when people say MLflow, that's mostly what they mean. Like
Yeah,
very few
exactly.
people are actually using the model part of MLflow. Most people are using it for experiment tracking.
Right. Yeah, we don't have models for that yet. But
because I think that's critical for like that public, you know, when we say we have MLflow compatibility, that's what most people are going to be thinking, right? If we don't have that, that's a failure in that sense, you know.
Agreed.
Yeah. And also, again, as I said, if we can hijack, if you will, the Apache 2.0 licensed API that they've already built, not the structure of the database side. I mean the injecting artifacts into the database. That's what I mean.
That's I mean, you know, we could use an adapter pattern for that, but it gets a little tricky because, you know, like you said, then we have to have you know, a mapping from their model to ours, and you know, for simple things it might be okay, like, you know, experiments and runs, we could have, you know, equivalent types in our model, in our API, but there might be, like, you know, functional differences, you know, that when we start getting into more advanced things like, you know, model life cycles and stuff like that, we won't have equivalents for that, the way they do things. So yeah,
that's probably fine. I just think it's more like we either need to decide we're going to build the integrations with PyTorch, TensorFlow, whatever, or we're going to use their ones and just use the same experiment tracking idea, but then models can be separate, you know. That's
right.
That's just a thought. I mean, obviously it's completely up to you guys. It's just, I think that makes sense. Anyway, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm saying, you know, we could support that to some extent, right? But beyond that, it's going to get harder because the life cycle, you know, view is completely different.
I just wonder if we could have it so that someone could actually use MLflow's Python package and at least load their experiment tracking into that one.
Yeah, like, you know, it's being suggested we can take this topic in the model registry meetings.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
I just added this here, by the way. So I'll just move this down to the bottom.
Okay. YouTube channel for meeting recordings.
So the update there is that we have a channel. I've migrated the channel that we host the hundreds of all of these meetings onto a brand account. But as a security measure, they make you wait 7 days before adding new people, presumably to stop people taking over people's accounts. So I think that's 1 day away or 2 days away right now. So once we've got that, we can check. We can decide what the name is before then, though. So I think we should. Okay, I think we should decide what the name should be. So I'll link the channel, but it's currently called Kubeflow Dojo, but obviously that's not a good name. So I was thinking Kubeflow Community or something to that effect. So this is the community, and then we've got the brand, the marketing. So there's two different YouTube accounts. One that's just called Kubeflow, which is for marketing and public relations stuff. Whereas this new one, we can rename this to whatever we like. But I was thinking Kubeflow Community or something else, but I'm fine with any discussions people have there. I don't think Kubeflow working groups, because I think we'll end up having more than working groups on it. But
yeah, I think it looks good. I think it's great. Kubeflow community sounds good to me. Josh, any comments?
I think that makes sense.
And so the distinction would be anything that's meant for people who are developing Kubeflow versus using it. That would be my kind of mind. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, I think it's reasonable.
Cool. So what will be, so because it's YouTube, it's a bit more secure than most. So we can't actually share the account on 1Password. It wouldn't work, and also it doesn't matter because we've got the brand account now. So once we've decided who needs to be able to upload, so maybe we could, for each working group, we can give one person upload privileges, and then they can be the one who uploads their meetings, presumably as we migrate to the CNCF Zoom as well. But is that? I mean, I can show people what I do for the community one. It's pretty straightforward, but like I can do because most of the time you might want to trim the beginning or end of the video. So like you can, if you have a MacBook, you can just click the edit button in QuickTime, and you don't need editing software at all. You can just trim it, which is what I end up doing for this meeting usually. So I can show people how to do that if they want, and how to download them as well, obviously from the CNCF Sim. But.
Okay, good. I think we have we covered that one.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple more topics.
So this is the main one that's going to take forever. So yes, as always.
Well, yeah. So that one we've discussed in the Kubeflow steering committee. We looked at both options, and we like the single page option. We discussed various things, ordering and improving the terminology, even the structure of it. But the bottom line of the KFC call was that we thought it was possible to do it in one page. It may end up being too long and may have to be broken into two, but we'd like to start with one. And we had unanimous consensus in the steering committee for that.
So yeah, that's fine. That's what my proposal in this now has been how to make it so that the one page is as good as possible and is acceptable to everyone. Is that, and then so my request.
And that's exactly where we wanted to go, Matthew. Yeah, we thought there was still work to do on the one pager, and so we're looking for comments on the one pager. If that.
So I made a bunch of comments. Obviously not all of them need to be accepted. It's just the thoughts that I had. But the main comment that I had separate to that was we should try and get approval or not approval, just like agreement from the people who are investing in making distributions. Like the ones who aren't, I don't care about them, but like the ones who are actively involved, you know.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, Josh. So since we have 1 more minute, any distribution owners here on the call right now? So OpenShift, Nutanix, Google, anyone here on the call?
There are a few, but I don't know if they'll want to speak up specifically now because they probably haven't looked at it. But
so anyone here who can speak on behalf of distribution owners?
What are we needing, Andre, is the distribution owners to have some comment period and get back so we can finish this up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I think we just want to make sure that they've seen it, right? Because I worry that some of these companies maybe end up missing this meeting all the time and not knowing that we actually are doing it.
Okay. yeah, let's make sure that that happens. We'll.
So the key ones that are active in my visibility are Nutanix, Red Hat, yeah, Canonical, obviously deploy.kf. Azure is in a really weird state. We talked about this, Andre, but we can talk about that separately. I don't know what's going on with that. And I believe there was one more.
Cubo as well, Alex. I saw the comments.
Cubo guy. There's a few others as well. But the point is just like, because the reason I suggest that people should look at it is because it will impact your business if you are intending to sell things on Kubeflow. So because this is the primary way people will find out about your distribution. So making sure that you present yourself in the way you want to is important. And I think it makes sense though. I'm okay with the idea, like as a distribution owner as well. Like I think it's good to show that we have components that can be deployed separately. I'm completely okay with that. I just think we should focus on the wording now. That so like my main concerns were mostly around the wording and the ordering of tables and things like that. But that's, we can discuss that in the issue.
Yep. Well, good. Thank you for that, Matthew. And thank you to Andre I know you two did a lot of work and this is not easy.
We always seem to try and change this page. Can we like make a pact to not change this page for a wee while after doing this? Because it wastes so much of my time.
Just to give the context, because like I didn't do it like for, some random things. Like I've been doing this by after discussing like 8 months with CNCF plus Kubernetes community plus people who want to use Kubernetes for AI/ML workloads and who really confused about Kubeflow. And I'm just trying to, like with all these things, we just try to explain people what actually our community can give as a value for the end user and end customers and how it could benefit their AI/ML workloads, basically. Because again, like there are so many confusions right now. We saw this on the summit, we saw this on the CNCF side and everywhere. And we just try to address these confusions by doing these things.
And I thank you for your effort there. That's why my comments, I've made them at least, which is that I think it is important as well. And I also think that we should make sure that we don't make the situation worse, right? It's by adding more information, we could make the situation worse. And I want to make sure that we present a sensible thing. And that's why I make the comments. I'm not trying to do it. It's not against your idea. I actually agree with the idea that we have a problem. It's just trying to do it right.
All right. So we got the comments. We'll check back in on this one next week and try to get this kind of moving forward. We're over time. Is there something quick on the Google Analytics, or is this something should we talk about it next time?
So I tracked down the person who we need to contact, who made the one for the last one. Right. So presumably we could just tag them in an issue on the blog repo and they'll probably appear. So
that's fantastic. Yeah, it would be great to get the blog information and even information on the installing Kubeflow page. As we go. Okay, well, good. We're at time, so I've been trying to think about how to keep this meeting on track. I'm going to stop the recording, but if people want to stay on and discuss things, that's great. Anything else that folks have to bring up before we finish? All right.